is to experience the love that the woman did. But what the experience the woman had before she came into the tent where Jesus was having the meal with Simon was the experience that God has forgiven you your sin. And that's what we hear in the second reading of Galatians. If you think you're going to earn God's love by your following the law, you blew it. You know, someone once said that if you hear most Catholic preaching, you think the fundamental preaching of Jesus is, try harder. If you just try harder this week, you'll do much better and God will love you all the more. Jesus didn't come to preach try harder, although in some cases that's probably a good idea, but it has little to do with the gospel. The gospel has to do with God has loved you already, and how will that release you to love yourself? And look at what it did to this woman, how it released her. Well, what will it release you to do? That's the question. You come here this morning, you who are in the pews, you who are watching the television, you've come here and you hear the good news of Samuel, of Galatians and Luke, that you have been loved, you have been forgiven. What kind of love will that release you to this week? I remember when I was a teenager, my brother, who was not particularly good to me all the time, and probably I wasn't to him either, if the truth be told, I came into our room that we shared, and he had made my bed. Now, this was a miracle just short of the multiplication of loaves and fishes. And I said, TJ, what happened? Why did you make my bed? I don't want to ruin a good thing, but I had to know. And he said, I'm in love. Oh, Noreen Page says she loves me, and I just wanted to express my love. And it just shoots out in a ripple effect all over the place. Have you experienced this morning in hearing the readings that God has loved you, your sin is behind you, you don't have to worry about that anymore? How is it going to ripple effect? You might even make the bed of your sibling. Or if that's too much, you might even make fudgies for your grandchildren. Or you might listen to your husband in a new way. Or you might not gossip at work in the way you're so used to doing. Or you might be more generous in helping the poor. Or you might tell your spouse how grateful you are for that spouse in your life, that you are so grateful God gave you that spouse for life. And if you do that, it's not because you tried harder, it's because you have realized and experienced the love which is already there in Christ Jesus, that he explains in the parable within the parable, and that woman experienced in her encounter with Jesus before the meal and during the meal. Some people think that religion is a crutch. Well, what makes you think you're not crippled? And once we begin to recognize where we're crippled, where we're hurt, where we're broken, where we sin, that is where God has already come and releases the love in us for this coming week. Where will you do it? Where will you express your love? Because you have been forgiven, you don't have to earn that, and now the love comes in your way, in the way you treat others this coming week. What will you do?